This is Distance from Center. I'm Horton. That is
Trent.
And we're here to talk about World Water Ski Championships held every 2 years. This year at Jack Travers, just outside of Orlando. Trent, I really hate when commentators use a lot of hyperbole, a lot of exaggeration. But I think it's zero hyperbole, zero exaggeration to say that in terms of performance, there has never in the history of water skiing been a tournament as exceptional as this previous Worlds.
Yes, 100%. Like unequivocally. I mean, the highest, the highest prelims to finals cuts across the board. I mean, just to have a shot to get into a runoff to make it to the finals in men's slalom was 2 at 41, and that's a 12-person finals. So I mean, and this just goes back to that argument, the IWSF insisting on putting the World Championships on sites that were not designed for skiing, and often cases, not often, but all too often, they're not even adequate for skiing. There's been a big push, like we got to get, the World Championships needs to be held on, slightly more controlled conditions where people can ski to their full potential, and there's two sides to that coin. But I mean, this was 2 parts. One, it was on one of the best sites in the world. 2, because it was in America, it was very heavily attended. And then 3, the level of skiing has gone through the roof. We know what these guys were doing during COVID. They were training.
Training hard.
Yeah.
So for my money, men's and women's slalom trick jump, all 6 events and then plus overall was all noteworthy. Mm-hmm. But for me, men's slalom and men's overall was the most interesting story. So in the prelims, we saw 1939's run. We saw 3 at 41 run 8 times. Yeah. And that's in addition to T-Gas running 4 at 41, which is near his PB. Smith running 1 at 41, which is a ball and a half off the world record.
43.
Yeah. So just the men's slalom prelims, again, would be a huge story on its own. Men's slalom, I had to go back through and rewatch it and take notes to figure out what really happened because so much freaking happened. Again, 3 guys ran 3 at 43, which was DeGasperi, Asher, Detrick, Neveu, Settlemeyer, and Fred.
3 at 41.
Did I say 43? You're going to have to stay on me this morning. It's been a rough morning. Okay, keep on me.
Yep,
and then going. Smith runs 1 at 43.
Yep.
So I'm a little unclear on this. So DeGasperi gets second, even though he was in that group of 6 who ran 3, and I believe that's because of backup score.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah, because he had a backup of 4, so he was free, pushed to second automatically, freed himself from the runoff.
Which left us 5 guys.
5 guys tied at 43 off, all shooting for 3rd place for the bottom step of the podium. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable, and that runoff was just amazing. Every single one of those guys, you're expecting someone to miss a 39 start. I mean, Stephen Neveu hadn't skied in 2 hours.
Right. And going back, same thing happened in the prelims. All those cold 39s are just whack, right? So Neveu goes out, goes off the dock first, gets 3 at 41, and of course that sets the bar. And then Asher goes out, and I say this about Asher, you don't know if he's going to fall at 1 or if he's going to run the pass. So him getting 5 at 41, it was a scream at the TV moment, right? I mean, he now really set the level. And then Detrick goes out right after him. And again, Detrick has really showed his mettle this year. And I know he's been around in the past, but who would think he would go out and match Asher with 5 at 41? That's just
I did.
Bonkers.
Brian
Bonkers.
Detrick has always done what Brian Detrick can do.
Brian Detrick
always.
Can do. You
always.
say that all the time. I'm not sure what it means, but
it means that in big events, and it's not that he's done a whole bunch of worlds, but like pro events, he's always done what he can do. That's just always been his thing. Like when he was a 3 or 41 guy, man, he went years of not running less than 3 or 41. That was not surprising to me. But Will's 41, that thing was when he turned 2-3. I'm like, oh, it looked like he was going to run the whole pass.
He did.
Yeah.
So then Settlemeyer goes out and gets 2.5 41. Fred gets 4 at 41. Does some kind of front flippy crash into shore.
It was awesome.
So that brings us to that second runoff. Again, this is just for bronze between Detrick and Asher. Detrick goes off the dock and has to run 39 cold again. Gets 3 at 41, and then Asher goes out and gets a round 4 ball and stands up for 3.5. But I mean,
it's
really
crazy exciting. And I've always said it wouldn't matter how well you were skiing, who you were. The last person in my mind, having skied against him for years and skied with him for years, last person I would ever want to have a runoff against is Will. Wouldn't matter how good I was skiing going into it. Just the hit.
So again, that puts us gold medal for Smith, 1 at 41.
43.
T-Gas. I'm bad on that today. Smith, 1 at 43. T-Gas, 3 at 41 with a backup of 4 at 41. So congratulations to Thomas. He's just having an astounding year. And then third place is Asher. And congratulations to Detrick for just,
100%
monumental effort.
And this
effort.
Watching that really reminds you of how special the World Championships are. Because just say Malibu Open. I mean, the guy that gets second or third, unless it's someone who's on the rise, like Caldwell or something, typically, Will or DeGasperi gets second or third, and they're going to be thankful for a little bit of money, but they're not going to be thrilled. You watch those guys' reaction to, you watch Will's reaction to winning that runoff and the runoff of the runoff. I mean, elation. So I mean, the World Championships just holds a little different level in people's minds and their hearts than a traditional pro event might.
All right. So the second race that I think was most interesting is men's overall.
Yes.
So I'm just going to give you this.
Yes.
I'm just going to give you the scores to try to wrap your head around this. So men's jump, Joel Poland 228, Dorian Llewellyn 229. So Dorian by a foot. Men's tricks, Joel 11,620, Dorian 11,260. So whatever that is, 380 points, whatever the math is there. Incredibly tight. One trick separating them. And then we get to slalom, Joel 2 at 41, Dorian 5.5 at 39. So a 2.5 buoy. I mean, it couldn't be tighter, right?
I know.
Could not be tighter.
And the cool thing is both of those scores, those combined scores, would have did break the world overall record. Just Joel happened to break it more. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I haven't really cared about following a world overall title since. I mean, I was a little boy watching '87 Worlds and watching Sammy, win it on his last jump. I mean, when I think of men's overall or just the overall race, that's what I think of until this year. Now it's just like, I mean, you're exactly right. That was, as a slalom guy, that was probably the most exciting thing to follow the whole tournament.
Right, and there's conversation on my website about, is Joel the best ever? Well, no, it's his first world overall title. But it puts him in league.
He is the most balanced overall skier in the history of the sport. Meaning his weakest link is incredibly strong. And I guess his weakest link is slalom, but I mean, he's run 4 at 41. So that's not that weak of a link. I mean, across the board, he's the most balanced in modern time. Anyway, I mean, you might go back and find someone in the '70s who was I mean, that close. I mean, he legitimately can podium in all three events, if not win. Legitimately.
So if we went back and did a Mount Rushmore on overall,
Whew.
I think the person that would get missed because he doesn't have a world overall title is Carl, because Carl was a legit trick skier. I think he had the world record in jump, but he certainly dominated a season or two on the tour.
Yep.
And one of the,
Yep.
I don't think he ever had the world record in slalom,
Nope.
but dominated on the tour.
Yep.
So
there's just a great example. His weak links, his weak link was definitely trick. So I mean, he wasn't going to be setting a world record in trick. He wasn't going to win a trick event.
No, but he wasn't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he was. You're right. He did. There was a fair distance.
But I mean, if we're talking about Carl, let's just talk about the guy who's going to go a full season winning, 2 different events, weekend after weekend. I mean, yeah, he was going to win slalom or jump.
Right.
But anyway, yes, Joel Poland. But again, Dorian Llewellyn has gone on this tear this late this summer, just breaking the world overall record, and then that performance at Worlds was absolutely incredible. How much he's improved in the last 12 months, especially in jump, is mind-blowing.
Insane. Okay, so burning through the other events, no disrespect to the other events.
No, this could be a 6-hour show.
Right. So Open Men's Tricks, third place, super feel-good story, Jake Abelson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to guess on how old Jake is, but he's high school, right?
Oh,
he's a super young guy.
Dude. He's like 14 or something.
Right. And super nice. Great family. Second place was the favorite in the event, was Pato Font, who in the prelims tricked 12-220, which, should be enough to win anything. He falters a little bit in the finals, leaving the door open for Dorian, who tricks that 11-260 that I mentioned. Incredible. For overall. So it's interesting. I looked up the world record just to see how close they were, and Alexi has the world record at 12-570. So they weren't really close to that individual event record. But in the case of Dorian, we're talking about a 3-event skier, so it's still pretty amazing. Moving on to men's jump, the big story is that Fred wasn't in the top 2. Fred kind of struggled in the prelims and then jumped a 226, which is not a small jump in the finals, but is bested by Poland with a 228, mm-hmm. and then Ryan, coming off a year of Where's Ryan, jumps 232 to take the title. Yep. It's his second world title, is that right, or has he got more than that?
That I do not know. I don't know. I mean, it's his second consecutive, but I would think he has got more than 2 though.
And after Malaysia, he's pretty angry after Malaysia, right? Even though he won, gave that speech that kind of stirred everybody up, and then to come back at Jax with perfect conditions, you got to give kudos to Ryan. I think he's really made good.
Yep.
Men's overall, we've already kind of covered it, but starting 5 through 1, Settlemeyer, Bob Hazelwood, Danielo Francisco. Mm-hmm. I said that wrong.
Pretty close.
Dorian Llewellyn, and then Joel Poland again for his first overall.
Incredible.
So that's the men. Not to diminish the women at all, because I think the feel-good story of the entire tournament, and I know I'm monologuing on you, so just stop me.
Go ahead.
Was women's slalom. Regina's coming off this injury, and everybody's super impressed with her level. Yes. But in the finals, Jamie Bull goes out and gets 2 at 41, and I think you and I have talked about this quite a bit. And my take on so Regina goes out after her and gets 1, skis inside 2. Mm-hmm. My take is Regina, who is maybe the greatest athlete in the history of the sport, having come off this injury, is not 100% Regina. She was like 95 Regina. She bobbles a tiny bit at 1 at 41, and it's just there's not enough margin. Yeah. I mean, she's one. I mean, so she's not at 95%. There's no way. Not that close. I mean, I would imagine she felt like she was safely at,
75%, like in terms of like she was not going to get injured. But even with the one ball that she had, that would have been a guaranteed 2 in the past. I just think, with that brace, it changes your range of mobility. And she just, she wasn't able to get the ski down and get that angle and get that acceleration going as quickly as she typically would have with a wheelie one ball. But I think, if you just back this thing up, though, I think, probably the most talked about moment in women's slalom was absolutely back to the prelims. It was Whitney McClintock coming into 2-ball at 41 off. Just getting her upper body a little bit ahead of her platform, and when she made that edge change, she got lifted and she lost the tip of her ski, and the first thing to touch was the tip of her ski. The second thing was her face. It happened so quick and with such force. You've seen the slow motion replay 100 times. She didn't even have a chance to put her hands out. Even begin to put her hands out to protect herself. So she took the whole thing on her face, and it was really, really bad. And then for her to, there was about 30 hours before the finals, and she wasn't able. She went out, and she did run her opening pass, and decided to come back in. She just obviously. Probably, I'm guessing, wasn't able to see with that eye still being nearly swollen shut. And then, but you're right. And then fast forward that battle between Jamie and Regina was just phenomenal.
So, but back to Whitney, let's be clear. She was either unconscious momentarily or incredibly disoriented.
Yeah.
We talk about this as a slalom fall, and even I don't want. I'm not sure I want people to go back and watch it, but when she was in the water after she fell was an incredibly scary moment.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
She was not, this isn't like a big fall, get up with the wind knocked out of you. There was like getting hit in the head with a brick.
Yeah.
She was not.
No.
She
was flailing. She was swimming down trying to get up. She absolutely didn't know where she was. It's terrifying. No, but you should watch it. It's incredible because it just reminds you, how these guys and girls make 39 look like they're not even trying. But the moment one large piece falls out, you're reminded of the speed and the potential ferocity of this thing.
Yeah, I just don't want to glorify it. As a racing fan, we all love to watch the car crashes. This thing with Whitney, there's no humor in this. This is terrible.
No, it's not fun. But again, it just reminds you of what they're actually dealing with. Yeah.
Okay, so back to Jamie Bull. I don't know that I've ever spoken to Jamie, but my impression is incredibly nice young woman. She wins. She's won pretty much everything at the junior levels. She comes through. She looks amazing on her ski. I think we should all be watching her. And then to see her become world champion it's the feel-good story of the year, I think.
It's absolutely incredible. It wasn't. It was going to, and it had all the makings for just such a battle. It was unfortunate that Whitney was taken out. But again, you still. You have to go out and put up a score that you hope is going to stand up to Regina, and she did it, man. It was really cool. It was again, all this stuff is still it's on archive at TWBC, so it's all still up. If you haven't watched it, I would carve out a couple hours and watch men's and women's slalom, especially. It's definitely one for the ages.
Okay. To quote Curtis Williams, some people think that women's tricks was the most exciting event of the tournament.
It was awesome.
Maybe. But so incredibly tight competition. Erica Lang, Neely Ross, Anna Gay. In the finals, Erica falters a little bit. Neely gets a ski line O taken. Which would have put her well over 10. Anna Gay goes out and stands up her run. Even if Neely Ross had gotten that TOEIC line O, it would have been 150 points separating them. Mm-hmm. These two women are extremely close to the tip of the spear and incredibly tight. Just athleticism. They're both Neely Ross is under 21. I don't know that Anna Gay is much older than that. And it's funny to think of Erica Lang as the seasoned competitor, but she's 3-4 years older than those girls at least. It's kind of amazing, pure athleticism. I think they watching them ski represents the sport of 3-event water skiing really well, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, just like, I mean, we can just keep saying the same thing over. I mean, the level, how much, even just since the last world titles, how much deeper and wider the field has gotten. It's the scores have gotten up, and those higher scores are trickling further down throughout the entire field. So no, I mean, there wasn't a gimme. There was only one event out of the whole tournament that was, you were kind of going to be clinging to foregone conclusions. I mean, it was a tight race
Women's
through the
jump.
whole thing. Yeah, women's jump was going to be, so our last one, women's jump was going to be the one where you felt like you might have been able to safely put some money on the winner.
Right, and in the sense that makes it boring, but on the other hand, Jacinta Carroll jumping 195.
Not that boring.
That's pretty astounding.
Yeah, and nothing.
That's not boring.
No, I mean, it's like, it's nothing wrong with congratulating or just enjoying just excellence, dominance. It's incredible. I was if there was a bet I was going to slide in there for women's jump, is I would have guessed her to go 200. Just I'm thinking. Well, I mean, I know it's been on her mind for 5 years, so I was thinking this might have been the weekend for it to happen.
So, question, I should know the answer to this, but is women's open jump the same boat speed as collegiate men jump?
No. Collegiate men is 31.7.
And women are?
What is it equal to in miles? 33.2 or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, so okay. All right, so that is Worlds. Any wrap-up thoughts on Elite Worlds?
No, I think now it's going to be very interesting. Like, is the formula been rewritten? So is this the new standard, or is there still this illusion that, holding it in some far off land on a terrible lake in front of 150 dignitaries is that worthwhile? Is that or is this the new model? And I don't know the answer.
Well, I'm going to argue with you on this. That I've heard you say to me over the years that you're perfectly happy with crappy conditions as long as it's the same for everybody, because it's pure competition, and you welcome some wind.
If
it's not about high scores.
If it's a means to an end, if there's a reason for it, like meaning, I would take slightly lesser conditions to be able to ski downtown Milwaukee in front of a huge water ski fan base, 100%, or the Yarra River. And I know any of the athletes would echo that sentiment. It's just when you're skiing in terrible conditions in front of nobody, or the few people you are skiing in front of have no interest in the sport, nor buying power to fuel the sport, then it's not justifying the ends of the industry nor the athletes. It'll be interesting to see, though.
Is it realistic in current day and age to think that we're going to get a big crowd of people that aren't in the sport already to come and watch our World Championships? I mean, unless you host it on where would you host it?
Well, again, so if we're just talking domestically, it would be places like, Milwaukee, like the Midwest. I mean, there's just a crazy fan base, or outside of Orlando, Florida. I mean, the water ski pot you fly. I mean, if you've never flown into Orlando, next time you fly into Orlando, have a look out the window. There's slalom courses and jumps everywhere, and they're not just on man-made lakes. I mean, a place that has a huge ski base, or again, like Melbourne being another one where there's, the argument has always been that we'll gladly ski in front of people that want to be there and see it and have worse conditions. It's just when you're skiing on terrible sites in front of nobody that cares about skiing anyway. That's when you scratch your head.
So when COVID clears up someday, hopefully, what about Worlds on the Yarra?
I mean, a phenomenal idea. I mean, there's been a Junior Worlds there, that I know. And my water ski history isn't good enough to know. I wouldn't be surprised had there been a Worlds there. I mean, I know there was a Worlds in the late 70s in downtown Toronto that was heavily attended, again just for similar reasons.
I was there.
You're kidding me.
No, I was a little kid. I was there. I sort of remember it. Yeah, Joel McClintock won world overall. Oh yeah, Joel's
after
fantastic.
crashing on his face.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a bad crash.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our world show. I think we've gone pretty long. All right. We'll see you guys soon. So that's at 20.